So there's a man I've been working with for a number of months who works in a bank right now, and he sees the vision of his life about the man that he actually wants to become. He's getting to be 40 now, and he's sort of reaching a midlife crisis, knowing that he was meant for so much more, and yet feels like he's been operating and playing life sort of in a subpar way, essentially. And when I was working with him and coaching him on guiding him on how to create more of an abundant life, there was a tendency that I found with him and subsequently many, many other people that I've worked with this tendency to want to fall into a logical pattern of what to do in their life. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. So he was very much interested in design. He really loved the idea of design engineering. So if you had an idea for a product or a concept, getting together with very creative people to be able to design a 3D model of a solution and making a lot of money from that and having the time freedom from that. And what he said to me was, he said he was talking to a friend of his who recommended that he go to Cambridge. This guy's based in London. He's like, I recommend that you go to Cambridge, and I recommend that you spend some time with these very creative people, and that you go get a master's degree, and that you go get a PhD, and you become very proficient in all of these things and spend your time with these groups of people. Now, to many people that have subscribed to the system, they think that this is a great idea. Of course, what is the highest level of education that you could get? It's a PhD. Who are the top people that are going to be focusing on the latest and greatest types of things? Well, they're going to be people at Ivy League schools, right? Like that is the conventional wisdom around getting around the quote unquote best of the best and having the best minds around you. Now, that's true. That is definitely true, and it will definitely open your eyes and your mind to new possibilities about who you can be and what you can create and what you can do. But I look at this as the slow lane. I said to him, so let me get this right. So you want to stop your job, or at least take a pause on your job. You want to go and get a master's degree, which is going to take 2 years. And then you want to go get a PhD, which is going to take 4 years. So by the time you've gone through school, you have a PhD, and 8 years that you've spent being around other people and writing up a dissertation to prove to some professors that you're qualified to talk about and do the things that you want to do. And I said to him, well, what about the 8 years that you could actually just go out in the world and network with other people that haven't accumulated a bunch of debt to go to school, or haven't been locked in this system of I need a degree, or I need a certificate, or I need this to qualify. And that kind of blew his mind. He was like, wow, I can do that. I can basically speed run the results that I want to get. And I said, yeah, dude, of course. And I looked at myself, and all of my life, I wouldn't say that I qualify to do what I do. Like, I don't have a degree in psychology. I don't have certificates about things and processes and systems. These are just things that I've learned by myself, that I've applied myself, that have helped me, and consequently other people, because it's a direct lived experience. Now, don't get me wrong, following systems are very helpful. There are definitely systems that people have codified that are profoundly useful when it comes to communication or emotional health or mental health or physical health, and a lot of the systems I follow myself. But keep in mind that God doesn't work linearly, and I'm going to make a video on this later, but the logical mind says, I need to do this to get this, to get this, to get this. And God says, let's cut out A to C and just go directly to Z. And it's going to feel like you're working at a breakneck pace. And all of the times that I've set my mind to doing something or creating something, I didn't necessarily have any qualifications beforehand, but I learned by jumping into the fire and by jumping into the deep end how to swim. And that was actually much more effective for me in creating the things I wanted to create, or getting the things that I wanted to get, because I didn't have a safety net. I didn't have the structure and a system of, follow this, what my professor says, or turn this dissertation in here. It was like, no, you need to create this because the investor wants to have his returns. You need to do this now because everybody else has figured out the piece of the puzzle, and you're the one that's lagging, and you're the one that hasn't done the work. So that pressure of the real world actually created a much more realistic way of approaching life and business. And that in a world of academia, it's very sheltered and it's very structured and it's very impractical as to how real life and real world actually runs. And so I told him, I said, look, man, one of the best things you can do is go to a entrepreneurial meetup, go to events, go to online communities, and just connect with one or two people that are already 3 or 4 steps ahead of what you want. You don't have to go through all of this school. You don't have to go meet up with these people that are probably a bunch of snobby assholes anyway that think that they're the best of the best and God's gift to earth because they're an Ivy League school. Just go to people that are willing to put in the grunt work, that are willing to learn, that are willing to move, that are willing to adapt. And you'll find that these people are actually the ones that are much more on the cutting edge because they move at a different pace. They move at a different speed. They don't move within the confines of academia. They don't move within the confines of linear thinking. They move in non-linear ways. So they make leveraged decisions. Do you want to spend 8 years of your life learning a skill and then feeling like you can qualify to talk about things? Or do you want to jump into a situation where you're already around a masterful person and be willing to learn and adapt and be as valuable to that person as possible? These are leveraging decisions because you don't have a lot of time in your life. You don't have a lot of time to spend following a very, very slow system. And part of the reason why people do this, or they have a tendency to want to follow these slow systems, is because reality in life has been structured to support following these slow systems. It is a way of pacing people throughout a job market. The reason why we have universities, for the most part, is so that the people that want to stay longer in their jobs have more time before they retire. So it's a way of buffering the people that have been in work for a long period of time to keep influxes of young students coming into the job market. The whole system is set up to have you slowly crank up over time. They are slow and incremental improvements in your life, as opposed to massive dramatic shifts in like a compound interest in a parabolic growth method. And a lot of the videos I've made in this channel are talking about how to create parabolic growth. And following a linear path is not parabolic growth. Parabolic growth is doing unconventional things that really scare you, things that most people would think that you're crazy about doing. But this is where the real success happens, is you have to do the unconventional thing. And so if you feel like you need to have qualifications, if you feel like you need to be around these people that are pontificating about the next latest and greatest thing, rather than getting your hands dirty and taking risks and putting yourself through the fire of transformation, you might get to where you want to go. You very well could get to where you want to go, but it's going to be very slow and it's going to be very... there's going to be a lot of drudgery. It's going to feel very mucky. It's going to feel very disheartening if the results that you want to get are taking so long. So I encourage you to really think about if there's something that you want to do, if there's something that you want to create, if you are in transition from a job that you really don't like into a dream or vision that you want to follow, find people that are really actually already doing it or have already done it. And they have taken a different way of approaching this. They've jumped the ship and they've burned the ships in the harbor. So now they're forcing themselves to swim. This is the kind of energy that you want to be around because it's going to teach you how to have gumption. It's going to teach you how to have resolve. It's going to teach you how to learn how to swim. And don't use the endless certification pursual as an excuse, because that's really a form of resistance. Have you noticed these people that go around and they get a certificate in this and they get a certificate in that and they get a degree in this and they get a degree in that and they get all these papers that say that they're qualified to do something, and yet they haven't even worked with a single client, they haven't even worked with a single person, they haven't even helped somebody, but they just have a paper that says that they can help somebody? So it is a way of unconsciously protecting yourself from the real impact of really going out and risking maybe not making the impact that you want to do, or maybe not getting the results that you want to get when you actually work with a client. There's people that I've worked with that I didn't actually get them the results that they wanted to, and they didn't actually get the results that they wanted to. And I learned a lot from that, and they learned a lot from it. And it was embarrassing, and it was kind of a tough loss because I wouldn't necessarily say that I made promises that I couldn't keep, but I expected more out of myself than what I was able to actually help with them. Now, I realize you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But I always have very high expectations for myself. And so by endlessly collecting degrees or certifications, it's actually a form of running away from directly confronting the people that you want to serve or directly confronting the thing that you want to build. So really just jump in, really start the business, really get the line of credit, really pay for mentorship, because that's the real growth. And the way that I look at real mentorship is one-on-one direct help with your business or direct help with your project, rather than, yeah, sure, video courses are good, group coaching is good, that helps, but the real magic comes when you have somebody that's been following you and tracking your challenges for a long period of time and is able to guide you on the next step. And that's partially what I offer in my coaching, is I am able to get you a couple steps ahead of where you're going, because I've been living this lifestyle of freedom and traveling and non-conventional living for a decade. And I've lived in multiple countries, and I've started many businesses, and I've helped a lot of people, and I've found a state of freedom emotionally and financially, and with the relationships that I've cultivated over time. And I want to be able to show you what's helpful for me, because now I'm able to live in Bali. Now I'm able to live a very free lifestyle that I wasn't able to live many years ago. And taking the jump is very scary, and having somebody to help you work step by step with you as you're taking the jump is so important, because I didn't really have that, and I kind of had to figure that out, and I was too afraid to actually reach out, and I was too afraid to pay for mentorship, and too afraid to... I kind of had my foot in the fire. I didn't have my whole body in the fire, and that's why I didn't really get the transformation that I wanted so quickly, was because I only ever stuck my toe in the fire rather than throwing my whole body in the fire. But the thing is that when you actually have a mentor and a guide that knows what they're doing and has been a couple steps ahead of you, the jumping in the fire is actually not that painful, because they will tell you what's on the other side of jumping in the fire. They will say, oh, I was there, I jumped through the fire, and now I'm here, so you can expect this to happen. Because if you're just jumping in the fire without any guidance, you could get burned. And having the guidance is so essential and so mandatory, especially when you're making a big transition into actually following your dreams and actually following your purpose and getting out of your comfort zone and doing the thing that scares the shit out of you. And I want to guide you through that, because there's an easier way, there's an easier path. There are systems, there are structures, there are mechanisms of consciousness and behaviors and patterns that if you duplicate and repeat those behaviors and patterns, your transition into living a deeper sense of freedom and autonomy is going to be a lot more easy and graceful, rather than needing to suffer and stumble along like I did when I was earlier in my journey. So if this is something that interests you, click the link in the bio, and I want to get really clear as to where you want to go in your life and the direction that you want to take, whether it's your business, whether it's your freedom, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your emotional health, whether it's healing trauma from a past that's keeping you from becoming the person that you want to be. I want to guide you through that, because I've been through all of it, and I recognize the value of each one of those steps and each one of those goalposts that you have to meet to create more and more space and more freedom in your life. And I've been through that, and I want to guide you through it, because it's totally worth it. And it's totally worth the investment of your time and your money to work with somebody that's already been there and will show you the way, and a faster way, rather than endlessly collecting a bunch of degrees and qualifications to say that you can do it. Because I believe that you can do it. And you wouldn't be seeing this video if you didn't know deep down inside that you could do it too. So click the link in the bio, and we'll set up a time, and I'll connect with you, and I'll show you exactly where to go.